In the early morning hours of August 19, 1990, 35-year-old Rudy Mendez jolted awake to an eerie quiet at Camp Nelson Lodge, a remote lodge tucked away in California's dense sequoia forest. The silence was interrupted by restless horses in the nearby pasture, their agitation unsettling Rudy, who knew every sound and shift of this wilderness. He felt something, or someone, was lurking. Rudy, the lodge caretaker, opened his cabin door, his senses sharpened by years spent alone in the wild. He scanned the pitch-black surroundings but saw nothing, so he locked the door, shut off the lights, and climbed back into bed beside 46-year-old Bonnie Hood, the lodge owner and his employer. 5 minutes later, his eyes adjusted to an unusual glow. The bedroom light had been turned on, illuminating the intruder standing over them, pointing a snub-nosed .38 revolver directly at Rudy's head. Without warning, the gun fired, a bullet tearing through Rudy's skull. As he collapsed, blood soaking his face, he played dead, knowing any movement could end his life. The intruder demanded money from Bonnie, but her panic only heightened his anger, and he shot her as she cowered under the covers. With the intruder gone, Rudy crawled across the blood-soaked floor, his vision blurred and strength fading, until he reached a telephone. He dialed 911 and managed to speak the name of the lodge before passing out. Camp Nelson Lodge had always been a quiet, almost forgotten retreat, a place where people came to escape, to find peace. For Bonnie Hood, this lodge represented a dream she had realized only 2 years before, much to the delight of some and the ire of others. Her death was no ordinary crime but one that would reveal secrets, rivalries, and a dark undercurrent flowing through the small town. As investigators arrived, the scene only grew stranger. Bonnie's body was found posed, hands crossed over her chest as if in peaceful repose, while Rudy lay on the floor, miraculously alive. Inside the cabin, investigators found a single blood-stained clue, 2 letters, J and B, scrawled on the wall in Rudy's own blood. The letters pointed toward Jack Burgess, a local cattle rancher known for a decades-long feud with Rudy, a Native American man who'd grown up on a nearby reservation. Jack had accused Rudy of trespassing and vandalism, even claiming Rudy had once shot at him. Jack was summoned for questioning, but he was quick to deny involvement. Although Jack was a man known for his grudges, he cooperated with investigators and provided a solid alibi. Detectives also turned their attention to Bonnie's husband, Jim Hood, a well-to-do businessman who lived 4 hours away with their children. It was discovered that Bonnie and Jim's marriage was strained. Bonnie had grown fond of the quiet town life, while Jim, a real estate developer, was firmly rooted in the city. The investigators, however, faced a larger problem. Bonnie had earned enemies among the locals. Known for her environmental activism, she had upset many in town by opposing illegal logging and, rumor had it, a local drug operation she'd stumbled upon while horseback riding. Her plans to turn the lodge into a high-end resort catering to wealthy city dwellers fueled even more resentment. Camp Nelson's residents, used to their slow-paced life, were not eager to see their town commercialized. Detectives faced an unsettling question: had one of Bonnie's neighbors, frustrated with her big city ideas, taken matters into their own hands? Days after the attack, Rudy regained consciousness and described the gunman as a biker-looking man with long blonde hair, a bandana, and a stocky build. Witnesses recalled seeing a stranger matching this description at the lodge bar the night before the murder, requesting songs and watching Bonnie as she conversed with staff about her plans to take home the unusually large tip jar that night. The investigation took a crucial turn when Bonnie's brother-in-law discovered that this mysterious stranger was Bruce Baumé, a drifter and known felon with a history of violent crime. A photo lineup confirmed Rudy's identification, and it turned out Bruce had worked as a maintenance foreman at a shopping complex co-owned by Jim Hood, Bonnie's estranged husband. This link was too strong to ignore. Had Jim hired Bruce to murder his wife? When questioned, Bruce claimed he was merely in town for a weekend getaway. He admitted to being at the lodge bar but insisted he had driven south to Fontana by 6 a.m., providing an alibi that didn't align with the timeline of the murder. Nonetheless, the police obtained a search warrant, uncovering shoes that matched prints found outside Bonnie's cabin. Bruce was charged with Bonnie's murder, yet investigators couldn't shake the feeling they were missing a larger piece of the puzzle. As the trial began, the defense argued Bruce's alibi while hinting at corruption in the case, suggesting Jim Hood had framed him to cover his own involvement in his wife's murder. Then, an unexpected twist came from Bruce's wife, Sharon, who told investigators she had found an envelope containing $50,000 under the bed, a sum Bruce had allegedly received from Jim for work. She claimed Bruce had even admitted to killing Bonnie. However, Jim Hood maintained his innocence, calling the entire story a fabrication meant to extort money from him. Then came the star witness, Rudy Mendez, who, despite his severe head trauma, took the stand to identify Bruce as the shooter. But as he testified, Rudy's story began to change. Details previously withheld emerged, details inconsistent with his original statements. He now claimed there had been a struggle, that he and Bonnie had been just friends, and that Bonnie had been a target because of her activism, not personal animosity. His changing narrative cast doubt on his reliability and led to Bruce's acquittal. In the year following Bruce's acquittal, Jim Hood's life became a twisted web of threats, paranoia, and suspicion. Bruce demanded money to stay quiet, a move that triggered a fresh wave of threats from both sides. Jim finally agreed to meet Bruce in his office. Moments later, 2 shots rang out, followed by 5 more. When police arrived, they found Bruce's lifeless body on the floor, a revolver in his hand, yet something was off. The gun was in Bruce's right hand, though he was left-handed. Investigators also noted that the gun was clean, despite Bruce's blood-streaked hands. To the seasoned detectives, this looked staged, a clumsy attempt to justify murder as self-defense. Jim Hood was arrested and, despite his protests, convicted of Bruce's murder in a subsequent retrial. Though he maintained his innocence in Bonnie's murder as well, evidence of his financial woes, marital discord, and Bonnie's $3 million life insurance payout fueled rumors that he had orchestrated the crime. Staying vigilant in our communities is key to keeping ourselves and others safe. Being vigilant means staying aware of what's happening around you, noticing changes, and acting on instincts if something feels off. Simple steps like looking out for neighbors, reporting unusual activity, or checking in with friends and family help build a safer environment. It's often the smallest details or observations that can prevent harm or assist in ongoing investigations. Trust your instincts, stay informed, and don't hesitate to share concerns with local authorities. Together, these efforts help create a strong, watchful community where everyone feels protected.